Hey everyone, so I'm really excited for this video because we're going to be bringing back BlockVote. That's right, from the series Blockheads. In this version of BlockVote, we're writing it in the JavaScript SDK. So those of you who know JavaScript, you can build a full decentralized application from the ground up by watching this video. With that, let's jump right in and get started. So what are we building today? We're building the application called BlockVote. And in BlockVote, you can clearly vote between two candidates here. Here we have a puppy and we have a little kitty. And every user that comes on and signs on to BlockVote, engaged with a particular vote, only gets one vote. So each user only votes once, and then after that, they can't vote again on that prompt. The results are shown to the user after they vote. So, there's no bias before voting. You just vote in, and then after you see the results are by. So this is the actual polling page. This is the actual home screen where each prompt is listed, and this is the form page where each prompt gets created. So you can enter your prompt here, enter candidate names here and here, and enter each candidate URL being the URL link to their image here. After you just submit it, and it gets saved onto a blockchain. So yeah, all of this will require writing to a blockchain and reading from the blockchain of various information. So let's keep going. So things you'll need will be Node.js, Yarn, and Visual Studio Code. So Node.js will come with npx, which will let us start off with create new app. You'll see what that is in a minute. It also lets us install different Node packages as well. We also have Yarn Package Manager, which is what I mainly use, and the one that's particularly used within newer examples. It's also just another package manager, but it's also a way to kick off scripts within your package.json file as well. So you can either use Node or use Yarn. Either one would actually work. And then Visual Studio Code is just the IDE that I'm going to be using for this particular tutorial. I suggest you get it so you can follow along easier. And some of the tools and packages you'll be using will be Near CLI, Near API.js, Near SDK.js, React, React Bootstrap, and React Router. So Near CLI is just a way to communicate with the Near blockchain from your terminal. The Near API.js is a way to integrate the Near blockchain connectivity into your front-end application or back-end Node.js script. Near CLI actually utilizes Near API.js to send, to interact with the Near blockchain as well. So it's a fun fact. And you can also, moving forward, we have Near SDK.js. So that's actually the library that we're using to write our JavaScript smart contract. That JavaScript smart contract will compile onto Blossom, get deployed onto an account, and let's actually store logic and interface with the Near blockchain as well. For our front-end framework, we'll be using React. If you guys aren't familiar with React, I'll be posting a link to a crash course tutorial video done by Traverse Media. He's really good. Definitely recommend watching it. But yeah, this tutorial won't be too hard to follow for the front-end side of things, so just follow along if you think you can. And we also have React Bootstrap, so there'll be no CSS writing for the front end. We're just using Bootstrap to make our lives a lot easier, and React Router to switch between pages a lot faster. So yeah, that's going to be the tools and packages we're going to be using for this application. Okay everyone, so here we are in the project folder that I created. The very first thing I want you guys to do is run create near app. So it's going to be npx create near app at latest. App at latest. That's going to give you the latest version of create near app, which is the quickest way to start off your project when building on Near. Here we have two contract language options. So we have TypeScript and Rust. We're going to be making our project with the JavaScript SDK. So we're going to be choosing TypeScript, and we're going to be setting our front end as React. So go ahead and choose React. And then just give this project name BlockVote JS edition. That should be fine. Hit yes or Y to install dependencies, and then just give it one quick second. Okay, so now we've successfully installed or create Near app. So let's go ahead and enter a project folder. So do cd BlockVote JS edition. So essentially what this comes with is a whole template for you to start off your smart contract or start off your decentralized application. It comes with the template smart contract, template front end just to get you going, and some integrated testing just to get you started with with your integration test if you want to dive deeper into that. Looking at the contract, if you go to contract source and contract.ts, you'll see a TypeScript smart contract. So TypeScript, by the way, is just a dialect of JavaScript. So just, so hopefully it doesn't like freak you out too much. So you're still using the Near SDK JS to make our smart contract. So you can even make this in just pure JavaScript if you want to. But we're just using TypeScript for its ability to essentially deliberately set the types of your variables, your parameters, and your function outputs and more. So it's just to make sure your projects and your functions are getting the inputs and outputs that they are expected, rather than depending on JavaScript's dynamic typing alone. Here in this demo smart contract, all it's doing is it's storing information onto the blockchain and retrieving that information. It's a very, very simple smart contract. So you can see how we have the message, which is of type string, which is set to by default to hello. We have this get greeting function, which retrieves that string and returns it out into your application or your console or whatever you want, just to be able to manipulate it. So you're querying the blockchain to retrieve this information. And then you have set greeting, which simply stores or modifies that message. So this is the default message, and this function here can modify that message. If you go up here, we can see 4 imports from Near SDK.js. We have Near BindGen. Think of that as a glue for your smart contract, so that the Near blockchain knows how to read your JavaScript smart contract. We have the Near import here, which comes with a whole slew of tools here and ready for you to help you with your smart contract writing. So you have Blockhead, the current account ID. You can get the name of the current account ID, the signer account ID, the name of the signer. You can do Near log, which is essentially just like console.log to return a message to the console. And it's also for event writing too. And you can also get things like a random seed generator. So you can return like a random string or random bytes, just if you need some sort of randomness implemented into your smart contract. So it's a whole cool set of tools ready for you to write your smart contract. And then we have the call and view decorator. So on Near, there are 2 different things. We have the call, we have call methods, and we have view methods. So call methods simply change or modify information onto the blockchain. Every call method that you run incurs what's called a gas fee. Which is essentially the amount of cost that goes into processing this transaction. So people are paying for that. It's typically very, very small on Near. And then you have view methods, which is just pulling information from the blockchain. So it's retrieving information from the Near blockchain. View methods don't incur a gas fee, so you can essentially call them as much as you want. Going to the front end, that's really it for our smart contract. And going to the front end, we have App.js, which is where the bulk of this will be designed. And we have the Near wallet.js is the next thing I want to show you. So this actually shows you how to implement the Near wallet selector, which is going to be kind of like the main way people are going to sign into your application when building on Near. It's essentially a way to open up a wide variety of different wallet options to your user. So we're not just limited to the Near native wallet. So if you go to the Near wallet selector GitHub repo, you can see a whole slew of options for you to choose from. It's really, really cool, really handy. In this demo, we're only using 2 of these options, which is the ledger to sign into your application, and the actual My Near wallet, which is the native wallet for kind of like the native wallet for Near. It used to be like wallet.near.com or .org, but now it's mynearwallet.com. This also comes with a handy sign in sign out method, which I'll show you guys how to use later, and also this template for view methods and call methods. Essentially, this is just a shortcut to allow you to make call and view methods. Function calls to call methods and view methods much faster than normal. So instead of having to write all this stuff out over and over again to make your call or view method, you can just pass in these simple parameters you see here, and then you can make your method call. If I were to run yarn deploy, that's going to compile my template smart contract and then deploy it onto what's called a developer account. A developer account is simply just an account testnet that's auto-funded with 200 test tokens. It's meant to be disposable, so you can do whatever you want with it. You can throw it away, you can deploy a new contract onto it, you can modify code that's existing on it, and you can make a new one if you want to. It's meant to be disposable, so it's perfect for testing, perfect for developing. And then also, so we're building our smart contract, and that's getting compiled down to WASM file. That WASM file is going to appear here in this build folder. So pretty soon we should see a hello near.wasm file once this is done building. And sorry, my computer's kind of slow with all the stuff I'm writing right now. Okay, so we can see that the smart contract has been successfully built and deployed. Make this a little bigger for everybody. Let's see. Oops. There we go. And we can also see the name of the developer account that it was deployed onto. So we have our developer account here. We can see our smart contract has been deployed. And now after we've done this, we can go ahead and run yarn start. And that's going to essentially run our application. So that's how you actually spin up our application. So we can see pretty soon. Cool. So we have our smart contract here. Oh, sorry, we have our application laid out in front of us here. So we can modify this greeting. We can view the greeting here. We can sign out. We can sign back in. This is the actual the near wallet selector that I mentioned earlier. So we have my near wallet and ledger as our options. So I'm going to click my near wallet, and that's going to send you over to testnet.mynearwallet.com, which you should take a minute to create your testnet account. So go to testnet.mynearwallet.com. That's going to aid you in this process while we build our application. So I'm going to hit next to sign into our application, hit connect. And there we go. We're all signed in. We can see that default message hello. Remember, that was our default string that we said earlier. And I can say hello world. Hit save, and you can see how the contract will then say hello world. So yeah, it's a very, very simple application. But yeah, that's essentially everything you need to know about spinning up the app and spinning up create near app, and then getting started with our template. So then we can use this template to then start our BlockVote development. Okay, great. So we have the template application. We saw how to spin it up. Now let's go ahead and actually start developing our own application. So let's go to the contract folder and go to source, go to contract.ts, and then here's where we're going to actually write our JavaScript smart contract. Before we do so, let's import a few more things. We're going to import the unordered map and an unordered set. And unordered, these are called collections in here. So these collections are essentially just data structures, like a normal map from Python, where you have a key value pair. That's what a map here is. We also have a set, which is essentially just like a vector, but with everything in that vector being unique. And then we also have things like an actual vector collection too. So the reason why these are beneficial, it's beneficial to use these collections over the native JavaScript data structures, is because these are designed to be more efficient for the blockchain. So you can actually retrieve information much faster and much less costly manner than using a normal data structure on JavaScript. Let's see. So that's really it for imports. Near bindgen, we're not really going to modify here. It's we don't really need to do anything. The only other thing we could do with it, honestly, is say require init. This would mean we have to we would require initialization function for our smart contract, but we don't really need that. So we're going to delete this. Let's see. And we can get rid of this message for hello near. You can actually keep these two things as a template if you want to. Sometimes I like to do that, just so I can remind myself how to format and structure my change and view methods. And let's see. And actually, what we're going to do is move this call method up here, because the very first thing we're going to be writing out is our call methods. Or I shouldn't say the first thing. The second thing we're going to be writing out is our call methods. But okay, so enough formatting. So we should be good to go here. So we import our collections. Our collections are the unordered map and the unordered set. So now we actually have to use them. So first thing we're going to be doing for our JavaScript smart contract for this voting application is establishing a way to keep track of the candidates for each poll. So we're going to make do candidate. Let's see, candidate. I can't spell candidate. Pair used to store candidate names and URL links. So we're going to be using an unordered map to keep track of our candidate names. And then these URL links I just mentioned are just going to be for their images. So the way we're going to do that is by storing an array in as the value tied to the key, which is the prompt name for our particular poll. So again, the key is a prompt name for the poll, and then the value is an array. The array will have 4 elements in it. First element will be the first candidate name. The second element will be the candidate's URL for their image, for their picture. Then the third element will be the second candidate's name, and then the fourth element will be the second candidate's picture. So to do that, we just simply say candidate pair is equal to new unordered map string array. So essentially what this is saying is that in this unordered map, all the values have to be string arrays. So this won't accept numbers as a value. This won't accept anything else as a value, or as normal string as a value. This will only accept string arrays as values. If you're coming from the Rust SDK, you may be wondering like, oh, do I have to like establish the name of the key as well? Well, no. In the JavaScript SDK, the keys are just strings, and then you can just like establish these values as your desired type. So candidate pair. So this is called a prefix. This thing inside of here. This is simply just so the blockchain recognizes can differentiate different collections within your state. So essentially, that just all that means is all it's for is to avoid data collisions within the blockchain when referencing your state, when pulling information from your state. So it helps your blockchain to identify this collection of information faster. Prompt set is next. So prompt set is simply just going to be a way to keep track of the prompts that we're going to be using for our they're going to be created in our application. Each prompt could be like, what's better, a dog or a cat, or who's stronger, Luke or Darth Vader or something, right? So like each of these will be, let's see, unordered set will be a prompt. So there we go. Vote array. Yeah, that's fine. So next up is going to be a way to keep track of our vote counts. So every vote will be counted in an array. The first indice will be for the first candidate, and the second indice will be for the second candidate. So pretty straightforward. So vote array is equal to new unordered map number vote array. And hopefully you guys are seeing the pattern. Last collection, this is the last one, is just keeping track of user participation. So all this does is all this next collection is for, so keep track of user participation within a specific prompt, right? So the idea is that we're going to be storing there we go, new unordered map, is that we're going to be storing the user's names in a string array tied to the key, which is the prompt for that vote that they took part of. So user, and then essentially we're going to be using the we're going to convert this. We're going to use this array to use the includes method with that array to see whether or not their name exists within the array, which will then give us a boolean back, letting us know that hey, this user has voted before. We can't let them vote again in this particular poll. So that's it for our collections. So now we can move on to our call methods. So below our template call method, let's create our first one. Our very first one is adding the candidate pair to our very first collection here. So candidate pair. And actually, before we move on, let's change this. Let's change the hello near to voting contract, just so we know what this is for. So add call, add candidate pair. Let's see. So the way arguments are formatted in this TypeScript in this TypeScript contract is a bit weird. So just bear with me. Yeah, it's gonna look a little bit intimidating, but once we get started, you get the flow of it, and then you get used to it. It's really not that bad. So first thing we're gonna be doing is just giving our argument a name, right? So we can say that this first argument is named prompt, and then after the first curly brace, right? Actually, you should know this. I didn't mention this earlier, but I'm storing all my arguments in like almost like an object instance, right? So like we have this like object instance here where I'm like listing the names of my arguments, and then after the closing curly brace, I'm putting a colon there and putting another curly brace here to then assign a type to this prompt or to this argument. So now I can say prompt is of type string. So that's what it kind of looks like. So like, yeah, we have our argument name, which is prompt inside these curly braces, a colon separating the two, and then another set of curly braces defining the type of this argument. So again, this is TypeScript. TypeScript's a bit weird, but this is supposed to be but this kind of like deliberate fashion is going to help us make sure that our types are what we expect them to be. So first prompt. And of course, again, you don't have to write this in TypeScript. You can write this in JavaScript if you want to, but I would recommend that you write your smart contracts in TypeScript so you can be more deliberate with your parameter and argument types. Other than that, again, it's all mainly the same thing. So name one, name two. So we have our prompt. We have as our key. We have name one, name two, URL one, and then URL two. Right. So then in our second set of curly braces, this is how you actually put in more than one argument. By the way, I didn't learn this when I first learned this about this SDK. So I'm trying to save you guys the same headache I ran into. So name one string, name two. Let's put an break here. Name two string, and then I forgot name URL one. Let's see. Didn't know I put that. Actually, it might be fine. Okay, I guess it just wants that. Okay, so URL one string, and then URL two string. Cool. Okay, so this is the only function with that many arguments, I swear. But hopefully this helps lock in the pattern of how to create arguments within TypeScript. So let's just keep going. The actual body of the function is not nearly as bad, right? We're just saying this dot candidate pair dot set is of type prompt, and we're storing not type prompt. I'm so sorry. Has the key prompt, and we're storing name one, URL one, name two, URL two inside of this array, and that's it. So you successfully ran your very first change method in your JavaScript smart contract. So good job, guys. So let's just keep going. So next one will be @call right? So for every different call method we put, we have to put this decorator. If it goes inside of here, by the way, all that goes inside of here is either a Boolean for private functions. We can change that to true, saying that this function is private, or making this payable, which we can also set to true. If this is payable, all that means is that this particular function can accept a deposit, and deposit is simply an amount of near you're sending it directly to the contract account, or the contract that's hosting or the account that's hosting the contract. And that's it. If you don't put this payable and you try to touch a deposit, it'll throw the network will throw an error. Next up is initialize votes. Argument will be prompt. All this does is, as it says, we make a new prompt. We have to initialize the vote count for it. Prompt string. And then, so I'm sorry. So this, correction, this dot vote array dot set prompt. And that's it. Oh, and before we move on, I made a mistake. Put a colon here instead of a comma. That probably would have caused me a bunch of headaches later on. Let's see. Prompt. And then after that, we set this default value to 0.0. Okay, so then let me just rerun through this. So we have our call decorator for initialize votes, which accepts the prompt as an argument of type string, and we're simply setting that prompt as the key and the value as 0 and 0 because we're just initializing the vote count, and that's really it. So let's just keep moving on. So call, remember to include that call decorator, and then we're going to be adding to prompt array. So in this particular function, all we're doing is we're adding this prompt to the list of prompts in our set. So we're going to say prompt is of type string. You can see that the prompt is kind of be like the main key here. No pun intended. Okay, maybe it was a little bit intended. Prompt set prompt. So let's just step back because I went through that kind of fast. So prompt set, remember we defined that as our set, which is an unordered set. And then this unordered set comes with this function called set. Wow, I just said set so many times. Holy. We're set here for vote array, which is an unordered map, right? So vote array is just, the vote array is not really an array. It's probably poor naming. But like vote is just storing arrays in this unordered map. Maybe like candidate pair, right? So candidate pair is an unordered map, and this unordered map comes with a whole slew of functions, including .set, where unordered map and the unordered map set simply has a key, sets a value to a key, right? So we have this value, we're setting it to a key. Unordered set also has a set function, but instead we're just adding this value to that set that exists. So that set, by the way, again, it's just an array with unique values, so like Dorian 1, and then Dorian 2, and then if you try to do Dorian 1 again, it won't let you, right? It'll just say like Dorian 1 already exists in here, because it's just a set. So that's all it's doing. So we're just adding that prompt to a set. Add call. Let's see. Next one will be clear prompt array. This one accepts no arguments because all we're doing is erasing everything. So this will clear the sets, clear the prompts, clear everything. So we're going to say this dot prompt set dot clear. This also these set and maps also come with a clear function, so that's pretty handy. This dot candidate pair dot clear. Cool. This dot user participation dot clear. Great. This dot vote array dot clear. It's just, again, this just simply empties out everything inside these collections. Near.log, remember that near.log I mentioned earlier? It's just like console.log. So all we're going to put is clearing polls. So that just clears just lets us know that this actually worked, and that it's that we cleared everything from all these collections. Next is at call. There we go. Next step will be adding a vote. So this is how we actually add a vote to a vote count. So remember, our vote count is going to be stored in an array, right, as we established here earlier. So this vote count will then, we have to first pull that array. We're going to be pulling that using the key, which is the prompt name. And then we're going to be selecting which part of that array or which indice we want to add one vote to. So for which candidate, right? So we're going to have to use an index here as well. So in the prompt is going to be of type you what? You probably guessed it. Yep, it's going to be of type string. And then after that, index will be of type number. So yeah, we get that. Okay, cool. So now it's just first we have to pull our vote array, our vote count, right? So we can say let current votes equal to this dot vote array dot get. So get is another function for node maps. So get, and now it's accepting a key as an option. So we're going to put our prompt as our key. And then if, so now here's the fun part. If this prompt does not exist, right, we could say, if we wanted to, we're not going to, we could say, you know, we can just say, here's a default value, add 0, or here's a default return value for this get. So again, if this key does not exist, we can just return this empty array. We might as well actually just keep this. That's actually fine. So either way, we're going to get something back from this function. We may not want that, but I'm just going to do it for now. Let's just show you guys how to do it. So I'm going to say current votes index, current votes index, then +1. So what am I doing? If I want to vote for the second person, right? If my vote is for candidate number 2, then 0, 0. Candidate number 2's vote will be the second 0 here, right? So that will be of indice 1. So for index, we would pass in a 1. If I want to vote for the first candidate, I'll pass in a 0 for the index value, and the index value is going to be referencing this first 0 here. So we're saying, let's just say for the second candidate, that's the index would be value of 1. So we're using that. We're saying that select this second indice or a second element, and then take the existing value of that second element and add 1 to that. So that's all we're doing. We're just adding 1 to that current value that exists within that second element. So just to keep moving forward. So this dot vote array dot set prompt. Oh my gosh. Current votes. So now we've updated the value. So now we're going to take that newly updated value and overwrite what we had before in the blockchain. So we're setting that prompt to this new current votes, or to a new update current votes value, and that's it. Last call method is simply for recording the user. So record user. Prompt user colon, prompt is of type string, user is of type string. So recording the user. So how does this work? Essentially, we're going to say let current array. Can't spell. We're going to pull in the current list of people that have taken part in a poll or taken part in a vote. Let's check if that person exists within that array, and if they don't, they're going to add them to that array. So then we can keep track of who has and who hasn't voted in a particular poll. So this dot user participation dot get prompt, and then default value. Right, so if no one's ever voted in this array in the history of the world, then we're just going to give them a new empty array. Current array dot includes user. So this next line is going to be a ternary statement or conditional statement. So it's like writing an if-else statement, but in one line. So if this current array includes this user, if the person's already there, then do nothing. If the current array does not include the user, then we're going to add that user to that array. using the push method. So push user. And that's it. After that, we just say this set user participation dot set, right? We're setting that newly updated array to prompt current array. So again, if that if the user does not exist, or if the user does exist in that list already, then nothing will be added to the array. We're just going to be pushing in the exact same array. And that's it for our call method. So great job, guys! Like fantastic job. Next up will be our view methods. So our view methods won't be that bad. There's not too many of them, so sit tight. So at view, same thing. Get URL is our first one. Maybe this one's the worst one out of all of them. I like to put the first ones for early on. Prompt name, then prompt string name string. So for view methods, unlike call methods, this isn't true, but like for view methods, you have to return something. For call methods, you can, but you don't have to return anything. For view methods, we're going to be returning a string. Or for this particular view method, we're returning a string. We're going to say near.log because we want to get the URL, right? So that URL is going to be of type string. So near log prompt, that's just letting us know what prompt we have into the terminal. Let candidate URL array equal to just a candidate array. There, candidate array equal to this dot candidate pair dot get prompt. And then return candidate candidate array. And then here's the fun part. Okay, so hopefully I didn't lose you guys here, but hopefully pay attention here. So we're going to say candidate array index of name plus 1. So what did that just do, right? So I'm sorry, I think I'm catching something. So let's take a step back and see what we're doing here. So we have, name 1, URL 1, name 2, URL 2. Just put all this in a comment so it's not giving us those weird lines. So if we want the URL, right, get URL as our function we're creating. If we want the URL of the first candidate, we're going to have to pass in that candidate's name. So, I guess I could just, whatever. So, if you pass in the candidate's name, we're going to say, okay, we're going to be referencing this first candidate here. Next to that is the actual URL that's associated with them, right? So that's just how our function is written up there. So that's how we know it's going to be we're going to match that pattern down here. So we're saying get the index of the first candidate and add 1, and then pull that information out of that second element. So that's all we're doing here. We're getting the element of the first name, and then we're adding 1 to get the element of the URL. And that's all that's happening here. Hopefully that makes sense. You can always let me know if you guys get lost in the Discord chat. And that's it for our first view method. So your very first view method. Good job, guys. Next up, at view. Did participate is our next function. Prompt user prompt string user string, and this will return a Boolean. So remember, we're just checking whether or not a person has ever taken part in a particular poll in the past. If they have, we're going to return a true. If they haven't, we're going to return a false. So we're going to be using the includes method that comes with arrays to make this, to determine whether or not a person has taken part in a particular prompt or not. So we're going to say let prompt prompt user list string, there we go, equal to this dot user participation dot get prompt, and then we're going to set our default value to an empty array. So remember, we're just getting the list of users that have taken part in a particular poll. If that poll does not exist, or if there's no one in that poll, we're just going to return an empty array. After that, we're just going to say return prompt user list dot includes, and then user. So what's happening here? Remember, this is an array. This value will be an array of strings. We even define that value right here, so we don't have to imagine that. That array of strings comes with this method called includes. That method called includes will check for whatever you pass in and see if that value passed in exists within an array and return a Boolean. So then in fact, what's kind of fun is like if I didn't return a Boolean, then this like function should scream at me. It says, "Hey, like this function wants a Boolean as a output. What are you doing?" So yeah, anyway, so you can kind of see the handiness of TypeScript. It's telling you it's defining that we want a Boolean, so make a function gets a Boolean, which is perfect because that's what we also need. And that's it. So next up is what if we want to view the entire list of people who have ever taken part in a particular poll. So let's make a quick view function for that. We may not use this one, but I found it handy when I was debugging, so I'm going to give it to you guys too. Participation array prompt string, and this is going to return a string array because we're getting a list of people who have taken part in a poll. So we're going to say return this user participation dot get prompt, and that's it. So next up is what if we want to get the entire list of prompts? So this is I think this is actually a pretty important like function to learn. It's very simple, but I think it will come in handy if you guys ever want to use like unordered sets. So just say you want to return everything in that set, right? Well, you can with this function. You can say this prompt set dot to array. So that's going to convert that set into an array and return it to you. So this is how you can get everything, your entire array listed out for your function if you ever needed that. Which I think comes up quite often. And that's it. Next up is @view get votes. So what if we want to get the votes for a particular prompt? So you can say prompt string number return this vote array dot get prompt default value. So what's happening here? So we want to get our votes. Our vote is an unordered map, whose key are the prompt names. So we're using the get function, passing the prompt name, and then we're going to be returning the array of votes for that particular prompt. If that prompt does not exist, then we're returning an empty array. That's all that's happening here. So last view method, view blah. Okay, great. Get candidate pair prompt. Okay, well, is this prompt going to be of type? It's going to be type string. Then what are we returning from this get candidate pair? Because we want to get the candidate names, right? The names of the two candidates, a string. So same thing as before, but we're gonna actually. What's kind of funny is I kind of did the fancy way before. Probably could have done a much easier way, looking at the way I wrote this function. But it's okay. We're gonna keep going. So let candidate array equal to this dot candidate pair dot get prompt. This is actually a much easier way we could have written the very first function, but I like to have fun sometimes. Let's see, default value n/a comma n/a. So we're checking for a candidate pair. If that prompt does not exist for a candidate pair, there's going to be returning this empty oh well, okay, this is actually, it's weird. Actually, we don't really need this default. We don't really need this default function for this one. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's just do it. Let's just keep it. Okay. Just add 2 more of these. There we go. So if this prompt doesn't exist, we're just going to get an array of not availables, right? If it does exist, we're going to get the full array of the candidate names and the URL links. After that, we're going to say return candidate array 0, candidate array 2. See, I could have just done that for the very first function, but I honestly kind of forgot I could do that, to be honest. So there we go. We're doing it the fun way, the easy way now. This will return the first name, and this will return the second name. First name will be of indices 0. Second name will be indices 2, because it's going to be name URL, right? Where the first array is at count 0. And yeah, that's essentially our entire JavaScript smart contract. So great job, guys. You just wrote your very first JavaScript smart contract. Let's go ahead and see if it built, or if we can build. So you're on build. So that's going to build our smart contract. Cool. So it built out both our contract and our front end successfully. So we can go ahead and run yarn deploy. That would actually, funny enough, build our smart contract again, which is okay. But it's also going to deploy its smart contract onto our developer account. Cool. So we've deployed our very first smart contract onto the developer account. Great job, guys. Okay. So now we've written our smart contract. Let's go ahead and go to App.js. So let's go to front end, right? So it collapse this front end folder, App.js, and let's build out our front end. So the very first thing I want you guys to do is take everything past this first curly brace and just delete it. Yeah, that's right. Just get rid of it. Then hit save. And then within these curly braces, type in return and then div hello world, and go and type in yarn start. That's going to spin up our front end. Let's see, you can get rid of that. You should see a hello world. I put that was a typo, sorry. Hello world, there we go, hello world, right here. Go ahead and delete this like global.css line. Right, so just delete that global.css line, refresh the page, and you should see like a nice blank template here. And now we can go ahead and add our styling. So type in cd front end. So make sure this is very important, but make sure you change into the front end folder. Go to React Bootstrap's main website and go to the getting started page. Copy this line where it says npm I React Bootstrap, or just type it in yourself. You don't have to copy it necessarily. And then just install it within your front end folder. While it's installing, go down and copy the CSS line and paste it at the very top of your page. So we're going to say React Bootstrap and just paste that CSS line there. After that, go to React Router. Just Google React Router Quick Start. So I'm just going to do it right now. So React Router Quick Start, and then go to the very first link. You should see this thing here. It says yarn add React Router DOM. Let's go ahead and do that. So just do yarn add React Router DOM and paste it in here. Make sure you add that first Y, like Siri is taking the show. Make sure you type in yarn add React Router DOM in your front end folder, or npm I React Router DOM should also work. So either one should work. So yarn add React Router DOM. And that's awesome. So let's close that. Now let's go back to our React Router page and just like copy and paste this entire import line here with all the browser router as router, switch, route, and link lines, and then just go to your page, Bootstrap, and then add another section for React Router. So we're going to say React Router right here. Import those statements and just leave it alone for now. And then, so now inside return statement, instead of the divs, we're going to put parentheses here and put in a router right here. This wraps our entire project in this router line, so that way we can seamlessly switch between components that are included within this router within this router wrapping. So go back to React Bootstrap and let's get started on our very first component, which will be our navbar. So type in navbar into your into a search tool and go all the way down to where you see where is it? Here it is. Where you see kind of like this responsive behaviors section. So go ahead and just copy everything inside of navbar, and we're going to clean this up to make it like a little more custom for us. Paste it inside of here and hit save. And then inside of here, if we go back to our page, if we hit refresh, actually just run yarn start again, we can see if this actually imported properly and it looks okay. Oh, because I forgot to import our navbar stuff, so that's my bad. Go back to React Bootstrap's website and just kind of copy and paste. You see everything you see here. Paste it inside of your React Bootstrap section. Go back to our home page and we should see, and that's great. So we can see our navbar appear here. So if you've imported these statements, you've imported the CSS, you've pasted in that template React Bootstrap thing, then you should see this page appear here, which is good. So now let's actually customize it to our liking. So things we don't need the features, pricing, or drop down menus, so we can go ahead and get rid of those. So everything you see, yeah, so features and pricing, get rid of that. Nav drop down, get rid of that. Everything between and including these nav drop down tags, just get rid of it. You can leave this a nav class name me auto alone, because that actually provides some really good spacing for us. So you can see it actually maintains that spacing. If I were to get rid of this empty thing, if I were to get rid of this like empty line here, you see like those things move over to the left, which I do not want, right? So I want those back to the right. So we're gonna replace that. Here it says more deets. Just replace that with new poll. So new poll. And here where it says dank memes, replace that with login. Now, where it says navbar.brand, get rid of React Bootstrap and replace this hashtag home with a /. And then after that, create an image tag. Inside this image tag, type in source. Inside of source, inside of curly braces, type in, and you can copy this from the description as well, type in https://i.imgur.com. This is going to be the logo. Then /31dvjnh.png. Hit save. Remember to add that closing tag. Hit save. Go back to the home page, and we should see our BlockVote custom logo appear here. I made this using Figma actually. So we've already we're basically on the appearance of it, but let's actually make these keys functional. So here it says hashtag deets, replace that with / new poll, and for the actual login button, we're gonna remove everything we have here and just replace it with an on click. But before we even do the on click, let's make the function for it to actually call, right? So above your return statement, I want you to type in const sign in function equals, and use an arrow function, and then just import and just say wallet.sign in. Where's this wallet coming from? It's coming from this automatically imported line here into your props, right? Those are being sent in through your index.js file here, where that wallet is being instantiated on line 13. So if you're wondering where that came from, that's kind of where it came from. It's all coming from, it's actually originating from your near-wallet.js. That's where that class is being defined. So going back in, we're also going to make a sign out function. So say const sign out function, same thing, arrow function, and just say wallet dot sign out. And now in your login file, we're going to say, let's see. We're going to say nav.link on click is equal to is signed in. If you're signed in, which is true, then sign out, right? Makes sense. So sign out function. If you're not signed in, then run the sign in function. So if you haven't seen this format before, this is called a ternary conditional statement. So ternary conditional statement. With these types of statements, it's just a way of writing like an if-else statement, but in like one line. So it makes it a little more convenient. But typically, it's better to write an if-else statement because they're clearer than this in most cases. But this is okay for now. So we're just saying if the user is signed in, question mark, then run the sign out function. If this is false, if this is a Boolean here, by the way. So if this is false, then run the sign in function. So if it's true, do this. If false, do this. That's all that's saying. Hopefully that makes sense. There we go. So you're gonna use another one of these for the actual string here too. So we're gonna say is signed in, question mark, then display the wallet account ID or the name of the person that signed in. Otherwise, just display the string login. Great. So if we go back to our page, we can actually click on this button. You can see that I'm already currently logged in, so it's going to log me out. If I log in, I can see the wallet selector appear here, hit My Near Wallet, and go and it sends me over to testnet.mynearwallet.com. Also, again, if you haven't made that account on testnet.mynearwallet.com, go ahead and do that. After that, just hit Next, and then hit Connect, and then we should be all signed in. And there we go. So we know this actually works. If you hit new poll, we should see this URL change to new poll. It's not actually linking to anything yet, so we're gonna have to make that. And we're gonna do it like right now, actually. So we're gonna create this little function called const display home. This is going to display our home page and be where we're going to navigate between different routes. So we're going to say if is signed in, then return parentheses routes there we go. Yeah, so import routes from React Router DOM. There we go. And then within routes, type in, you can actually get rid of the switch statement, I can use that. Type in route. And then path is equal to the home directory. So we're saying if our URL is guiding us to this particular path or this endpoint, display this element, and this element will be a home tag. And you're wondering, hey, where is this coming from? And then, well, then you'd be right, because we forgot to import that, right? We forgot to actually create those. So let's go ahead, make a new folder in your front end, and type and make that, and call that folder components. And within that folder, we're going to create 3 different files. One is called Home.js, another one that's called new poll.js, and then another one that is called polling station.js. In each one of these, we're going to type in, I'm going to use my React snippets extension to get my starting template here. You can just go ahead and copy this on screen, so you might want to pause the screen for this if you don't have React snippets installed on your VS Code. Otherwise, you should get React snippets. So we have our home page. We're just going to type in home for now. It's like this div. Here we're going to say same things, RCSP. Again, that's a feature from React Snippets. So if it's not working for you, it's just an extension that I got from like this little button here, right? So new poll could just be new poll for now, and then polling station RCSP will be, get rid of these prop type things. We don't really need that. The import as well. We're just going to call this polling station, and there we go. So going back to our app.js page, we can continue on with our element, right? So home Oh, actually, we need to import these two. So below your React router imports, make a new section called custom components, and then import home from React from components.home. So it should autofill for you, which is kind of nice. Next up, do import new poll. So new poll, and then after that, import polling station. And hit save, and then now we can finally say home /end, and then after that just close this tag to get the route, and there we go. This is our very first component that we're importing, but we're not done yet. We're very far from done. So hang in there with me, guys. It won't be too bad. Next route, we'll have the path of /new poll. Then the element will equal new poll. There we go. Then after that, we'll have the route with the path is equal to /polling station. And then the element will equal, you guessed it, polling station. Oops. Closing that, hitting save. If I go back to our page, and if I were to, let's see, refresh, what should we see? So we're going to go back to our home page first. Did I save these components? Let's see, save. Oh, I know what's happening. We never actually exposed this. So below your nav bar, remember to call this display home function. So it's going to look exactly like this. So below the nav bar, make some curly braces. That's going to prompt you to use some JSX, which is just basically JavaScript. And then just say display home and call that function below the nav bar and hit save. And now if we go to our home page, we should see the word home here. If I go to new poll, we should see new poll appear here. If I were to type in polling station, since we don't have a button for that yet, we should see polling station appear here. So great. This is essentially the fundamentals for us getting started. This lays down the groundwork of everything else we have to do. All we have to do is populate these three components. And we should be on our way. But before we move on to the next section, we're still not really done with our display home function. So we only wrote the if, right? But what if you're not logged in? Well, let's just make a message for that. So we're going to make an else. We're going to import a few more things. We're going to import from React Bootstrap. There we go. Import a card, a button, and a row. All from React Bootstrap. So else, right? So we have our else section to complete. So if we're not logged in, right? Display, we're going to say display this container. Within that container, we'll have a row with the class name of justify-content-center d-flex. Close that. Inside that row, we're going to have a card. With the card, we'll have a style of margin top 5 VH, width of 30 VH. VH is view height. We can do view width, but it's okay. It'll look fine. Within that card, type in container, and then within that container, type in another row with the message that says, "Hey there, please sign in." And then below this row, we're going to have another row. Oh my gosh, whatever. There we go. We're gonna have another row that says class name is equal to justify content center d-flex, and that will have our button telling the user to log in. And that button will only have, we don't have to do any fancy ternary statements for that. It's just a simple button that says on click run sign in function. There we go. And that's really it. So let's test it out. So we're back at our home page, right? We're logged in, but if I log out, let's see what is happening. Oh, be sure to wrap everything you see here within a return statement. And get rid of this semicolon. There we go. So wrap everything within the else statement, within these wrap everything within the else curly braces into a return statement. So the entire container goes into a return statement. So now we should see this cool little message here. We can probably format the styling a little bit more if we want to, but for now, like, this is totally okay. So we can see like, hey there, please sign in. We can click this login button. We can hit mine your wallet, and then we can like go ahead and use the application. And actually, I'm going to sign in again for this, but like, you can even see when we log out this new pull button. We should probably disable that, right, if we're not currently logged in. So we're going to go down to where it says new poll, and then just type in disabled, and inside of a curly brace type in exclamation point is signed in. So that means like if we're signed in, this will turn false because of the exclamation point. So this will be true. This exclamation point makes it false, meaning do not disable. But if we're not signed in, this will be true. This exclamation point will turn like I'm sorry. If we're not signed in, this will be false. This exclamation point will turn into a true, and then that will just mean like we can't use this button, right? So now this button's disabled for us. So it's essentially the groundwork for App.js. I think we still have a few more things to add in the future, but for now we're just gonna leave it as is. So good job, guys. Okay, so now that we've laid down the foundation for our project, we can go ahead and go into Home.js to actually start like populating our homepage. So very first thing I want you to do is to like establish your imports. So let's go ahead and import a few things from React Bootstrap. So type in import, and then type in table and container and button, and finally row. Oh, I'm sorry, and card. All from React Bootstrap. So there we go. Next thing we want to do is just mix a few state variables. So state variables are essentially variables that will, that you can pull into your component, and when you modify these state variables, your component then reloads. So they're kind of useful. So you can type in use state. There we go. So there's a few things I want to do. There's a few things I want to do on this homepage. So this homepage will essentially be for laying out your entire, all your prompts and all your all the things that your users can get involved in, essentially. So the way we want to like actually do that is by first retrieving all the prompts that exist within like our blockchain, right? So luckily we have a blockchain method for that. We're going to incorporate that blockchain method into our home component. So first, some state variables. So do const disable button. This will come back. We'll come back to this later. So disable button, and then change disable button equals to use state. This will come in handy later. So I'll explain what this is for in a minute. Next step is const prompt list. So prompt list, and change prompt list is equal to use state. So let's go ahead and actually create parentheses bracket, create our visuals for our homepage and show you guys what we're doing. So to display our components, we're going to go ahead and go over to React Bootstrap's website and look up table. This will give you an idea of what we're actually making. And this is it, actually. So we're going to use this table to display our components. So it's pretty cool, right? So in order to do that, we're going to go to a return statement, throw in some parentheses, go down, say container, and then go down and say table. Style is equal to margin 5 VH. Then striped, bordered, and hover. I think I misspelled striped. Did I misspell striped? CRIPED. No. Oh, and then sorry. There we go. Put that end curly brace here. There we go. So striped, bordered, hover. After that, type inthead. This will be where our headers are contained. Inside of thead, type in tr. That's going to be the first row for our headers. Inside of that, type in th. That's going to be our very first header. So we're going to have a hashtag. It's our very first header, similar to what we do here. So a hashtag is our first header, and these hashtag just denotes all the numbers below it. Next header will be the list of polls. So type in th, and then list of polls. And then after that, type in th, and then go to poll. And that's it. So if I go back to if we go to our local host and type in, hit login, right? We're going to log into our application. Okay, go to your homepage. You should see our table starting to appear here. So it looks kind of cool, right? So we're actually building this thing live. So it's actually, we can actually see it getting built out. So th, that's diff for the head, right? So I'm gonna type in t body. So we're gonna be, okay, so now that we've finished with the head of our table, let's focus on the body. So very first thing I want you guys to do is go over to like your prompt list and put in prompt 1 and prompt 2 within that array. That's going to be our dummy prompts as we fill out the body. So we're going to say prompt list in some JSX, prompt list dot map element and index. Map is simply a way to iterate through an array and perform some logic on each element. So we're going to say if this prompt list exists, right? If prompt list dot length, right? If there's some sort of element within this array, then we're going to do something. So we're going to return tr key is equal to index. That's a React thing. You have to make sure to do that, or else it'll throw an error. And then in this first row, we're going to say td, not the first row, but like each row. We're going to return the index plus 1. That's just going to be our numbering system. Indices start at 0, so we have to add 1 to that to make this indices start at 1. And after that, display the name. So if I go back to our homepage, we just see prompt 1 and prompt 2 appear here with 1 and 2. So element is a prompt 1 and prompt 2, and index plus 1 is this numbering system here. So that's where it comes from. And then after that, we're going to have to go to td, and then after that, type in button, and within button, type in go to poll. That should look like this. So that looks pretty good. So we have go to poll. That button won't do anything right now. We'll come back to that a little bit later. But yeah, essentially this is going to be what happens when you actually display your page. So it looks pretty cool, right? Okay. So there we go. So there we go. We've like successfully like made out like this like table here. If we add some sort of value to that, we can say, you know, prompt 1, then prompt 2, then for fun, let's just put dog. Then we should see all those things be here, and we can actually we can even have a way to go to the polling for each one. So great job. That's essentially the beginnings of our homepage. Okay, so there's one more thing I want to add to our homepage, and that's simply a little message that shows up whenever we don't have any prompts to put on display. So the very first thing I want to do is create some JSX, Inside the JSX, we're going to have a ternary statement. So we're going to say prompt list dot length is greater than 0. If so, do nothing. If otherwise, if it's not greater than 0, they're going to display a message. So make some parentheses. In those parentheses, make a row with the class name of justify content center d-flex card, and the card will have a styling width 20 VW, height 10 VH. Inside that card, all I want to do is put this little message that says no prompts to show. And then we're going to add one more. So yeah, if we go back to our page, oh my god. So actually, if we go back to our page and then go up here and just remove everything you see inside of this array, make an empty array. Now if we go back, we can see this little message that says no prompts to show. So that's good. So we did the right thing here. We have one more thing I want to do. We're going to go ahead and toss in a new row, right below our little JSX, and we're going to make a button called clear polls, width of 20 VH, margin left of 10 VH, and then after that we're going to have an on click. Well, we're not going to do that just yet. Disable button is equal to disable button. And then inside of I'm sorry, was this still the row? This is still the row. Sorry. Take everything I just wrote here. Okay, let's just go back. Okay, so now we have our no prompts to show message done. We're going to add one more button or one more row to this, one more feature to this page. We're going to add a row, and inside that row we're going to have a button, and we're going to have that button. We're going to give that button the styling of width 20 VH, margin left 10 VH, and close the button. Inside the button, just put clears polls. So if we go back to our page, we have this nifty little button that says clear polls. So obviously none of our buttons do anything, so we're going to add functionality to that a little bit later. But for now, I say we move on to making a new poll. Okay, so now that we have our home page, essentially laid out for now, we're going to come back to it and fill in these buttons. We're going to make our new polling station, our new polling page. So in the new polling page, this is essentially where users are going to be able to create a new poll for people to vote on, enter new candidates, and just essentially add new polls to the front end. So we're going to go ahead and start off with our imports. So let's go ahead and import. And just like replace, right, we just took away, there we go. Import container, form, button, row, column, and a card from React Bootstrap. And we're going to start off things by creating our state variables. And let's see, so first state variable will be, I'm sorry, not state variables, our references. These references will come in handy later on. So essentially, the reason why I'm doing these references is because candidate name 1 is because we're going to be using what's called a form in React Bootstrap. And let me show you guys what that is after I type out this first reference. Here we go. So if we go here and go to just like React Bootstrap's website, and look at form, we can see these forms here, right? So we can see this example form would be like, add an email, add a password. So how do we actually like make use of that email and password? Well, we have to use a reference. Actually, if I type in ref, I think there should be one here somewhere. Okay, yeah, it shows you how to. Okay, it doesn't show you exact implementation of using a reference. We're gonna do that here, so that's fine. Just tells you what a reference is. So to pull out that information, we need what's called a reference, and in React, it's called useRef, right? So you create a variable name, and you put it into this thing called useRef, and then you can attach the useRef to the form field. And that form field will essentially let you pull out the string data that the user types in. So candidate name 2, useRef, const candidate name 1 URL is equal to useRef cool. I think if I do option D, there we go, option D, I can copy that line, so that's handy. And then after that, one more ref will be our prompt ref. So prompt ref equals useRef. There we go. These are all references. Now all stuff are state variables. So if I do const disable button and then change disable, that's going to come in handy when we want to submit our information, so we don't have the user submit a bunch of the same information over and over again. So that just disables the submit button. And then this next one would be const display message, letting the user know when they can return back to the home page after their information has been uploaded to the blockchain. Change display message equal to use state false. Great. So now before we do anything else, let's go ahead and create our function, our send to blockchain function, just to get that out of the way. So we can say const send to blockchain, and this will have to do a few things. It's going to have to first create the candidate pair, and then after that, it's going to have to create the initialize a new vote, add a new prompt to that prompt array, and then after that, send all this to the blockchain. So it won't be too bad. Async. We're just going to have to go through it. So send to blockchain equals async. This is an asynchronous function. Every call and view method is an asynchronous process. So we're going to put prompt. We're going to actually, before we even do anything, I just realized we still haven't done one thing yet. So we're going to go back to our app.js page and do something that's going to make our lives a little bit easier when establishing, when utilizing these like call and chain and view methods. So if we go back to our homepage, our app.js page, we're going to kind of create a little cheat for using call and view methods. The reason why we're doing this cheat is because the way these are written inside the nearwallet.js file is done in such a way that makes it very easy to use when you're interacting with multiple different contracts. But for us, we're going to be interacting with one contract, so we don't always want to have to pass in this like contract ID name here. Again, if I were using more than one contract, then yes, I'll just leave this as is and import it from the nearwallet.js, but I want to do things a little bit differently. And it's going to save us some time in the long run. So I'm going to say const call method is equal to async. Let's see, async method name, comma args. We're going to set that by default to an empty object instance. And then we're going to say const call method is equal to async. I'm sorry. Sorry, brain fart. Wallet, there we go. Wallet.call method. Contract ID. Contract ID. So where am I getting that from? I'm getting that literally from up here. So we're using this contract ID that's being passed into our app then pass it into our first parameter for that contract ID method, or contract ID argument. Next one will be method name. So we're gonna put method and then method name. So that's just gonna be method name we pass in from here. And then after that, we're gonna say args. Also another parameter we're passing in. Next step will be const, and we can put in a weight on here too. There we go. Next step will be const view. Yeah, const view method is equal to async method name, same thing, and you guessed it, args is equal to empty object instance. After that, just put an arrow function. We're gonna say return await wallet.view method contract ID, same thing, contract ID. We can actually probably copy these next two lines here. Just paste them here for us, make our lives a little bit easier. And get rid of this parentheses here. I'm not really sure why I put that there, but that's fine. And that's really it. So now we can go ahead, go to our little route section here and pass these in as a prop. So we can pass these in as a prop. So we're going to say for a new polling station or new poll, call method is equal to call method. Hit save. And after that, we can then put add a new line. We'd say view method is equal to, you guessed it, view method. Closing curly brace. And hit save. And then after that, we're going to pass in one more thing. We're going to create another function that's going to come in handy for us while we're making this new polling station. It's going to be called const get prompts. And then, so this function is really easy. All we're doing is getting a complete list of prompts. And that's going to come in handy as we're like writing out our new polls. So you can say return await view method get all prompts, and actually this is using that function we just created, right? So is that kind of cool? So you can see how we don't have to pass in the contract name. We're just passing in this like function name, and we don't have to pass in an argument because like that's all right. With this particular function doesn't take an argument. So now we can go here, go to new poll, and just type in get prompts is equal to get prompts. And there we go. So now all of our elements will be essentially using this call method and view method thing. So we can actually just like copy these two properties and paste them into the other elements. So let's go up one to home and then just paste these in. Go to polling station and paste these in here. So we can get ahead of ourselves a little bit. So go back to the new poll.js and then go to, and we're going to continue on with writing our send to blockchain button. So new poll.js send to blockchain button. So give me 1 second. There we go. Okay. So now that we have this that call method in our props, we can safely say await props dot call method add candidate pair prompt ref dot current dot value. So prompt ref dot current dot value, all that's going to do is return to us the value of the string within the form within the form field. In other words, if we have a form that says, if you have a field that just says like candidate name, it's just going to return to us the candidate name. This in this sense is just going to return to us the name of the prompt that we're passing in. So yeah, that's not too bad. So next one will be name one, candidate name one, dot current dot value, right? Then name 2. We can actually just say copy this line here, paste it here, and then turn that 1 into a 2. And for what, then after that, URL 1, we're gonna copy. Let's see, this line here, candidate name 1 URL, paste it here, and say dot current dot value, and then URL 2, same thing, dot current dot value, but change that 1 into a 2. And if you're wondering, hey Dorian, where did you even get all of these things from? Well, remember, we actually wrote that earlier in our smart contract. So if we go back to our smart contract and go to add candidate pair, we can see prompt, name 1, name 2, URL 1, URL 2, and then everything goes with it. So we're just adding this like prompt array of the names and URLs to the unordered map that we created earlier. So go back to new poll.js, and then underneath this add candidate pair function, we're going to do another await, and then do props dot call method add to prompt array, and then our arguments will be prompt ref dot current dot value. All this function does, if you recall, is just adding a prompt to that unordered set. That's all we're doing. And then await props dot call method initialize votes. So initialize votes. And then we're also going to add in the prompt as well here. So we can actually just like copy this line, this like object instance here, and then just replace it with the one we just wrote in here. It's the same argument. After that, we conclude this function by saying change display message to true, letting the user know that they can go back to the home page. So now, so this is good. So we're going to go ahead and design the actual like new polling page. So let's go ahead and go to the return statement, add some parentheses, and then establish a container with a style of margin top 10px. There we go. Okay, close that, and then we can start with a row, and that row will have a card, and that card will have a card body, and that card body will start off with the card.title, and that title will say voting prompt. So maybe what would be good is actually if I combine these two pages, we can see what we're doing. So if I go here, go to new poll, we can see that we haven't defined URL ref, so let's just go ahead and do that. So Command B, go back to new poll.js, go up here to React, and then just type in use ref, use state, and put a comma in between the React and the braces like that. So great, we can see voting prompt appear here. So we're on the right path. So that's pretty good. So underneath voting prompt, we're going to add what's called a form. So type in form, and then underneath form, we're going to have form.group, and give that form.group a class name of mb-3. Hit save, go inside that form.group, and then type in form.label, capital L, prompt. Hit save, and then we can see a little label appear there. And then we can go below that, we can say form.control ref is equal to prompt ref, placeholder is equal to add prompt. So that must look like magic. And what the heck is form.control? Well, form.control is, if it ever shows up, did I not define form? Oh, we didn't import form. Oh, no, we did. Oh, I did from. My bad. Sorry, guys. There we go. So we can see the add prompt appear here. So this is the actual what form.control is. So we're adding that field. And that's our very first card. So good job, guys. Now let's keep going and add the cards for the candidates themselves. So we could enter in the candidate information. So below that row, we're going to make a new row with the class of the style of margin top 5 VH, and then after that, we're going to close that tag, do column class name is equal to justify content center deflex. So deflex, there we go. That just centers everything for us. Close that tag, and then after that, enter in another card. So we're gonna have two columns here. One column for one candidate and the other column for another candidate, with a style of width 18 rem. Close that card, hit save. Inside that card, we're gonna have a card body, card.body. Inside the card body, we have a card.title, capital T, candidate 1 information, candidate 1 information. Let's see. I just did that. Okay, that's fine. Let's get rid of this, make it easier to see. And then after that, we're gonna have a card dot subtitle with the class name of MB-2 and text-muted. And then we're going to, and for that subtitle, we're going to put enter your information for your first candidate. Hit save. You can see that appear to the left here. And then after that, we're going to have another form. Dot group. Class name is equal to MB-3. If you're wondering where we're even getting these class names from, and hopefully don't get too confused with those. Those are straight from React Bootstrap, honestly, like the actual website and documentation. They're just like corresponding to different types of stylings that React Bootstrap comes with, but I'm just using the default ones for now. So form label candidate 1 name inside this form group here. So hopefully you caught that. And then let's see, candidate 1 name, and then underneath that we're gonna have another form.control, and this is essentially the last thing we're doing for this thing. It's not for this page. It's not too bad, right? Hopefully, the second card we can just copy and paste all this information, and just turn all the ones into twos. It's actually really easy. So remember, form control that reference we created earlier, candidate name 1. That's where that candidate name 1 is gonna be able to pull these strings from. The placeholder of enter candidate name, and close that tag, and there you go. So that's candidate 1 name and the actual place where we can actually retrieve that candidate 1 name. We're still not quite done, so we have to make a whole thing. Essentially, you have to make another form group for the actual URL as well. So we can actually go ahead and copy this first form group. So let's just copy this and paste it down here. Hit save. And just change some of the strings we put in already. So we can change this candidate 1 name to candidate 1. Change that name to image URL. and change a reference to candidate name 1 URL. And then for the placeholder, just do enter candidate image URL and hit save. And there you go. So we have our first card, and guess what? We've done the bulk of the work for the second card. So so hopefully this we don't have to go through all of this again. So that's really good. So copy everything you see here, inside and including the column tags. Copy that and paste it just below the first one. So the closing tag of the first column. After that, change all the 1s to 2s. So candidate 1 information, change it to 2. Change this first to second. Change this candidate 1 name to 2. Change this reference to a candidate name 2. Change this candidate 1 image URL to candidate 2 image URL. And change this candidate name URL to 2. And hit save. So cool. We just kind of saved ourselves a bunch of time. So if we expand that, we can see our entire form. That's really good. We're almost done. We're almost done, guys. I probably keep saying that, but hopefully you believe me at some point. So we're gonna add another row, and this row will have a style of a margin top 10 VH. What's happening with this? Wrong row. Sorry, I put this in the closing tag of the top row. There we go. Let's just copy all of this. Put that style tag in our new row. Hit save. Inside of this new row, we're going to make a button, and that button will have a disabled feature. So disabled. Come on. There we go. Is equal to disable button. And then after that, we have another property. We're going to say on click. Send to blockchain. Send to blockchain. And then variant is equal to primary. And then we're going to close this off and say submit. Hit save. And let's see. Then there's one last thing. That's actually really it for our form. This is actually a fully functioning form right now. So we can actually enter in our information and submit it to the blockchain. I don't think that'll be as much fun until we can actually see it. So actually, you know what? We can get rid of this line and put in an alert here. So in the send to blockchain button or feature, we're going to just add an alert and say return. In a string, return back to home screen. That's going to pop up after we send off our information. So, okay, so now that we have a way to enter in our new polls, we need to find a way to read them into our home page, right? So let's go back to Home.js. Right, so Home.js, and add some functions that allow us to retrieve and display that information. So remember, all this information is coming from this use state variable. So we need to find a way to update that use state variable to then be able to display that information. So within, so below your state variables, we're going to use what's called a use effect, and that's going to run a function each time this component mounts, right? So we're going to make this function, make an asynchronous function called getInfo, and then call getInfo from within useEffect. The reason why to make our own custom functions is because we can't do something like this. I wish we could. That'd be a lot easier. But you have to actually make an asynchronous function within useEffect. It's a really weird React thing, but it's the only way to do this. So we can say getInfo async let output equal to await props dot get prompts, and then So you can see how that kind of comes in handy. Actually, I'm not sure if we actually made that. So let's go back to Home.js. Go back to App.js. Copy get prompts. Go down to our home element, wherever that is, right here, and then go ahead and add that. So we're going to add get prompts is equal to get prompts. Cool. So let's go back to our Home.js page. Props.get prompts. And we're going to say change prompt list to output. So now all that list of prompts is going to appear here. And update our prompt list. And then we can say if output dot length equals to 0, change disable button is set to true. So that's going to disable our clear polls button should there be nothing returned, or should there be an empty array returned from get prompts. After that, we have to actually activate this get info button. So we're gonna hit get info. So we're gonna call that within useEffect. And then after our first callback function, let's see, where is this going wrong? Okay, we're going to see what happened here. It's saying that get all prompts is not found. So let's just make sure I spelled everything correctly. So get all prompts. There it is. Yep, that's our problem. So I put get all prompts instead of get all prompts. So we can either fix that by adding an S and redeploying it, or we can just change the name of the front end. But I like get all prompts better. It sounds a little more accurate. So we're going to do yarn deploy. After we make this correction, it's going to deploy that to our new dev account. And then once that's done, we can run yarn start and try this application again. And let's make sure that this is spelled correctly in Home.js as well, or in App.js. So get all prompts. Okay, that's fine. Now our contract's updated and deployed. We can run yarn start and try this again. So yarn start, app is starting, it's built, and still saying thing not found. Oh, did it actually work this time? Okay, great. Actually, I think it worked. So if I do refresh. Oh, nope. Okay, so I kind of figure out the issue. Just to cover all my bases, I deleted the near dev folder, which deleted the dev account reference, and I also deleted the partial cache folder, just to make sure there wasn't any like weird front end stuff I didn't know about. But after that, I ran yarn deploy again, and then it created a new dev account for me. And rebuilt my smart contract, so now this is working. So earlier I'm not entirely sure what was happening, but great. So we now have it working again. I can even just just for funsies, I can save this to, let's say, let output equal await, and then console.log output, and then also return output. If you hit save, you hit refresh, we should see this empty array here, which is exactly what we want. So that's good. So now let's go back into Home.js. We have our get info button all sorted out, and now we can go ahead and then just like add a new prompt, right? So let's go ahead and add a new prompt to this. So go to new poll, and to close this down, and we can say add new prompts. We can say I don't know, sun or moon, right? We can say sun here. We don't need to add anything to the URL just yet. We can say moon here. Same thing for this URL. And then we can hit submit and see if anything goes wrong. So I didn't re-sign in to this new dev account, so I have to actually approve this transaction. So that's okay. So let's go back to our home page. Hit refresh. Refresh. Okay, let's actually just try signing in first. So log out, sign in, my near wallet. Blockhead 27, hit connect. So the reason why I have to re-sign in is because I have a new dev account now. So I have to give this new dev account a new function call access key for this to work. So now I can try this again. So new poll, I can say sun or moon, sun, moon, 1, 2, 3, some stuff. Hit submit. See anything going wrong. My submit button work. Okay, return to home screen. Great. We can see sun or moon appear here. So great. We know that our submission button is working. Now I know something we forgot to do in our new poll page. I forgot to disable the home button. So I should say change disable to true as soon as we hit the send to blockchain button. Now if we go back, make a new poll. Say up or down, up, down, some stuff, hit submit. That now the submit button is like disabled, so we know it actually clicked it, right? Now I know it actually works, or it's actually doing something. So if I wait a little longer, I can say return back to home screen, and then now I can see up or down appear here. So that's good. So now. All that's left, right? All that's left is to actually create our polling station. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So the very last page we have to create is our polling station page. So go over to pollingstation.js inside of your front end folder inside of components. And then let's get rid of that. And here is actually where the user is going to be able to cast their vote. So in order to do this, we're going to need to do a few things. First, very per usual, get our imports into our page. So we can say import container row column button, and by React, we're going to get use state and use effect. And before we even continue, there's one function that's kind of fairly important to this polling station page. So this polling station page will utilize the local storage to pull in its information to then be able to display it on the screen. So if I were to go to our app.js page, app.js, we're going to define a new method here. If I could find it, here it is. It's called const change candidate function, candidates function, so multiple function. Async prompt. And what this does is that it will take the candidates names and the prompt names of our selected candidate pair and actually put them into local storage. So then hopefully this will make sense. Then within the polling station, we're going to pull these names from local storage to then be able to use them on screen. So we're going to say let name pair equal to await view method get candidate pair prompt the field prompt is going to be our value prompt that we're passing into this function. That's all that's happening here. So then after that, we say await local storage.setItem. So we can actually go ahead and copy this line a few more times. And then first we say candidate 1 name pair 0. Copy this, paste this here. Then turn candidate 1 to candidate 2 and name pair into name pair 1. And then after that, set item from prompt, and then prompt here. So again, local storage.setItem, that's going to set the item named candidate 1 with the value of name pair 0. And if you remember what name pair is, right, or if you remember what get candidate pair returns is that it's going to return this array of, like, you know, candidate names, so candidate 1, candidate URL 1, then candidate 2, candidate URL 2. Oops, sorry, something happened. Okay, there we go. So get candidate pair. Actually, I'm sorry. No, yeah. So get candidate pair. I think that actually does something a little bit different. If I were to go to contract TS, go to get candidate pair. Actually, what this does, I'm sorry, I messed up. So actually, what this does, it just returns the names of the two candidates. We have candidate array 0 and 2. So that's just going to. So all we're doing is taking these two candidate names that's already being parsed for us. So we don't actually have to, like, parse this entire array like I thought we did a minute ago. We're just getting the two candidate names and putting them into local storage. That's all that's happening. And same thing with prompt. So prompt under value prompt here. So that's all that's happening here. So we're going to take that change candidate function and go down to polling station. Let's see, right? And then so we're going to go down to not polling station, but we're actually going to go into the home element. So put this as change candidates inside of your home component. So now go back to Home.js, and then here where it says button, right underneath by where it says button on where it says go to poll, we're going to do on click, and then we're going to say props dot change candidate element. Okay, so this is going to pass in the name of the prompt, and actually will probably be even clearer for you guys, which I probably should have done earlier, is change these elements to prompt name. There we go. So it's a little bit clearer what's happening. So we're passing in there we go. So props.change candidates. So we're passing in the prompt name into the change candidates function, which it will then retrieve the appropriate candidates from the get candidate pair function from our smart contract, and return the names into the local storage, and also save the prompt name into local storage as well. So then now with those in local storage, we can go back to the polling station. So let's go back to the polling station.js, and then actually write our component here to then be able to retrieve those names from local storage and place them within the polling booths. So very first thing we do after since we successfully imported our imports, we can now make our state variables. So first state variable and the second state variable will just be temporary images. So const candURL to take place of the images we load in from our user, so that the just until like they're ready to actually like display. So in other words, just loading images, right? So candidate one URL. Let's see. Candidate one URL, comma candidate. Actually, change candidate one URL, and that's going to be equal to use state. And then we're going to go over to like icon finder, iconfinder.com, and search up like a free like loading image, and just choose like the free ones, and then hit that, and then you can just like open this in a new tab, take that value and place it in here. So that's just going to be like our loading image until our actual images load in. Same thing for candidate 2, so change these to a 2. And then our next state variables will be const show results for when we're ready to show results. So change results display, that's going to be equal to a use state. That's going to be equal to false, or set that by default to false. Next step will be const button status, change button status, use state false, hit save. The next state variable will be const candidate one votes, change vote 1 is equal to use state. So this is going to be where we're updating the vote count for each candidate. So by default, those are going to be 0. And option D, change that to a 2, change that to a 2. And after that, last but not least, const prompt change prompt. That's going to be equal to use state. And that's going to be just 2 dashes for the empty prompt. Great. Next step, we're going to use the use effect to retrieve some information. So we're going to say use effect is equal to a callback function. It's not equal to, is a callback function inside the, accepts a callback function as an argument. And then we're going to have our useful, handy-dandy getInfo asynchronous function. So getInfo is equal to async. We're going to say let x. Actually, we don't need that. We're going to first say let prompt name is equal to local storage dot prompt. Then we can say let vote count. So that's going to get the prompt name from local storage. And I could say let vote count. Gosh, I can't type. Equal to await props dot view method get votes prompt name. There we go. So that will retrieve our vote count for us should there be one, but we're not going to display that to the users just yet. Console.log vote count. Actually, that was just for me, so we can get rid of that. Okay, so the next step after that, we need to actually go ahead and get the images or get the URLs, and then update the URL information in our state variables. So we have the vote count set. Now let's go ahead and get the URLs. So we can say await props dot view method get URL. Can't type. There we go. Our arguments will be prompt local storage dot get item prompt. Next up will be name. Then local storage dot get item candidate 1. So that's going to get the URL for candidate 1. You can always check the smart contract if you need to remember, if you need to a reminder of what that this function actually does. But it just gets the URL from candidate for the candidate 1. And then we're going to need the the exact same thing for candidate 2. So let's just go ahead and copy this and change the 1s to a 2. And there we go. Next step will be change prompt. So you can say, change prompt local storage dot get item prompt. That's going to update the prompt name in our polling station. So that's a more visual thing. And after that, we're gonna check if the user voted or not. Did user vote? Why this is important is because this will allow us to decide whether or not we want to display the results of the vote to the user. Local storage get item. I went autopilot there for a minute. Cool. So did user vote? First, we're going to call this a method called didParticipate, which accepts a prompt and the user's name to check if that user has ever voted in this particular poll before or not. Props.wallet.account ID. Then after that, we're going to take that did user vote value, right? And then put them into the state variables by saying change results display did user vote. That's going to return a Boolean. And change button status did user vote. Great. So did user vote will return a Boolean, which will modify both of these to either stay false or become true. After that, all we're going to do is go to the end of use effect and have this monitor the show results field. There we go. So then our next function we need to add for this is the ability to actually add a vote, right? So that's fairly important for a polling station. So we can say const add vote as our function name, which is an asynchronous function. So we're going to put async, and then that'll accept a value of an index because we're going to choose whether or not we want either the first candidate to receive the vote or the second candidate to receive the vote. So we're going to say change. First thing we're going to do is disable the voting buttons. So change button status to true. Await props.call method. Add vote. And then we're adding that vote to prompts local storage dot get item. So we're passing in the prompt name to add the add vote function from our smart contract, and then the indexee of the user that we want to vote for. So index, and that's really it. Next step will be you have to record the user. So once we add the vote, we have to say, okay, we've added the vote. Now to actually record the person who made the vote. So props.call method record user. And then we're going to say prompt.local storage.get item prompt. Then after that, we're going to say user that is going to be props.wallet.account ID. Hit save, and then so now we've recorded the user for this particular prompt. And then we're going to get our updated vote count. So we're going to say let vote count equal await props dot view method get votes, and then our arguments will be just the prompt, local storage dot get item prompt, and then after that we're going to take that vote count, which will return 2 votes, and say update the vote count state variables. So change vote 1, vote count 0, change vote 2, vote count 1. Alert, thanks for voting. And then after that, we're going to change this this results display. So change results display to true. Great. So that's enough of like the back end magic, right? Or not really back end, but you know what I mean, like background magic. Now to actually make our polling page. Sure, let's actually go to a poll. We can go to. Oh, this button actually work? Okay, maybe it doesn't work just yet. Let's see what's happening. Nope. Okay, so let's just we have to go and update those, but that's fine. So actually, yeah, let's go and update. Let's go and update that button. So that's pretty important. So if we go to our Home.js page, Home.js. Let's see what's happening. So get poll, go to poll. Check if this is actually responding. So console log clicked. Okay, so we know that this function is actually getting called, so something's wrong with the actual function. Let's go to props.changeCandidate. Right, so that's an App.js thing. Change candidates. Yep, okay, I can see what the issue is. Okay, I forgot to do one thing. So props.changeCandidates. We have to add this line here that says window.location.replace window.location plus, I'm sorry, location.href plus polling station. There we go. So now we should get redirected to the polling station if I click this button here. Great. So we've been redirected to the polling station. So now go back to pollingstation.js. Do a div, let's just say polling station. Make sure we're not crazy. Great. So we see polling station appear here. So we're nowhere in the right place. So let's go ahead and start filling this out. So first thing I want you guys to write will be a container. So container. Inside of this container, we're going to have a row. Inside of that row, we're going to have a column. Yeah, that's fine. Inside of that column, I'm going to save that to make it more organized. We're going to first give that column a class name to center everything. You know what it is. It's just going to be justify content center and then d-flex. And we're also going to give a style. So style of width 20 VW. Let's give us a little more room there. There we go. Move down. So then within this column, we're going to create another row. Another container. And then within that container, have another row with the style of margin top 5 VH, background color, hashtag C4. And then we're going to close this row. And within that row, we're going to have a div. And that div will have a style of display, flex, justify, content, center, and padding of 3VW. And that's going to be it for our div. And within that div, we're going to call an image. The image will have a style of display, well, same thing. No, actually, height of 35 VH and a width of 20 VW. And that source of the image will belong to the candidate 1 URL, the one that we retrieved earlier. So that will just be our loading image because we never actually loaded anything new into this page. But that's okay. That's actually a good thing. So we know we're on the right track. Below the closing tab with the div and below row, I should say, we're going to have conditional statement that will say show results ? So if we are to show results, then we will say we're going to display essentially same thing. So yeah, class name. Do not have anywhere else. Yeah, just copy this. So yeah, save some time. Style, margin top 5 VH. What's happening here? Quite strange, actually. Let's see. Okay, that's fine. Show results. Great. I was just missing a closing tag for row. That's fine. So within this row, we're gonna have a div. A div will have a style of display, flex, copy, justify, content, center, font size 8 VW, padding 10 px, background color, hashtag C4, and then let's see, closing div, and then just put in candidate 1 votes. And yeah, otherwise null. So good job. Let's see, one last thing is just the actual voting button. So row style, and the reason we haven't seen anything appear here is because like this value is like set to like false right now. So we're not displaying anything, but if I were to put an exclamation point here, we should see this like 0 appear here. So that's all we created. we just created a way to display the vote count, which only gets displayed if the user has previously voted. So next up is the actual voting button. So same thing for the rows. We can just copy this thing here, replace that first row tag with that other row tag, and then toss in a button. Disabled is equal to button status, and then on click is equal to a callback function. We're saying add vote 0 and vote. So if we click this first button, it's going to pass in the index 0, which is going to add a vote to that first candidate, right? So hopefully that makes sense. So that's really it for this first column. This next column is just a way to display the prompt tag, and then the third column would just be another voting station for the second candidate. So we're gonna say, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna say column, right? Same thing as the first column. So you can even grab that first column tag and just copy everything here, and then replace this next one with that. Just change this 20 to a 10, and then within this column, we're going to have another div, right? We can actually just copy this first div here too. Might be able to see what we can snag from this. So we're going to place a div in here, and keep flex, keep center, remove font size, turn padding to VW, at a height of 20 VH, and align items to be center, and text align also center. There we go. And within this div, we're just going to put in the prompt name. So we're just going to call prompt, and that's it. So remember, prompt here is just going to be like, we need to put some margin here. So just say margin top 5 VH. There we go. That adds some spacing up there for us. So that's good. So our prompt is right now just like these two like dashed lines here, which is like totally okay. Because we don't actually have anything populating this right now. So now we have one more column to fill, and yep, it's the other voting column. So, but the good news is that we can just go to that first voting section we created, copy everything within and including the column tags. If I can navigate to it, and paste it below this closing tag of the prompt column. And then just like before, we're going to change all these ones into a 2. So let's just go ahead and do that. That's a very fine place. Okay. So we're going to change candidate 1 URL to candidate 2 URL. We're going to change candidate 1 votes to candidate 2 votes. And we're going to change add vote from 0 to 1. And then I think that's really it. If I refresh this page, can I see it? Nope. Okay. Oh, because I stopped the page. Okay, so I would run yarn start again. So now if I go down to here, okay, this is looking pretty good. And actually, if I were to change, let's see, if I were to go up to my state variable and change the show results to true, we should see the results appear here too. So that's pretty awesome. So let's change it back to false. And now let's actually test this with a real prompt, right? Let's see. And these two weren't actually called yet. So get info, vote count. Oh, it's because notice reason why they aren't called is because like this get info button is not actually being like called. So after you define get info button, the function. I'm sorry, get info function. You actually have to call it. So call it within it. Use use effect field, and then you should also see this. So let's see, vote count, get info, line 41, props.wallet.account ID. Okay, that's okay. So what's happening here is we didn't pass in wallet as a property. So go to app.js, go to polling station, and just inside the list of attributes that we have here, just add one called wallet and let that equal wallet. That's coming from that. There we go. That's coming from that imported like wallet. Right, where is it? Yeah, it's coming from here, where the create near app template automatically imported wallet for us. That's pretty cool. Okay, so now let's actually add some real life, some real images to this. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, great. Candidate 1, prompt name. Candidate 2, prompt name. Cancel. Let's see, polling station. And then change candidate 1 URL. Okay, actually, yeah, kind of dumb move here. And then one more thing too, around where we have these like two get URL functions, I want you to actually like wrap them with these change methods here. So these change functions from the state variables. So we're gonna put that right here and wrap it just like that, and do the same thing for this next get URL function. There we go. So these broken links are actually a good thing because we never actually put in images for up or down. But let's go ahead and test that with a real thing. So let's go to new poll. Let's do dog or cat. Dog, cat. So what habit I have? There we go. Let's look at an image of a dog. Choose this little pupper, little pupoo, open image, new tab, copy, oh look at his little face, paste here, and cat. And let's choose this image of this little cat here. Kind of intense looking cat, right? Copy, paste. We're gonna hit submit. We're gonna wait a minute. Okay, cool. So now it's done. So hit OK. Go back to the home page. You can see dog or cat appear here. You can hit go to poll. You can see our pictures of our dog and cat appear right into our polling and our prompt as well. So now we can cast our vote. So I'm gonna cast my vote for this little puppy because I'm always gonna be a dog person. And then it says thanks for voting, so hit OK, and then I can see one appear here. So there we go. Yeah, we have a successful voting application. Great job, guys. You guys did it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you guys want to see more of out of these tutorials by letting me know in the comments down below. With that, like, subscribe, and have a wonderful day.